Welcome back. Today we had a bit of a crisis with the Agriculture Committee this afternoon.
So what is the crisis for the 2018 Model Assembly?
So the state issue that we currently have going on is that there is a large corporation called Midwest, and they are using a certain herbicide which is harmful for the crops, and the issue is basically between the corporation and farmers and environment in general. And that is as much as we know at the moment.
Do you guys currently have any steps planned to take action on solving this?
So since the bill has not been fully written yet and it's in the process, we cannot do as much right now. We are preparing for it for sure. We have lobbyists on each side already delegated to which side they're going to be on, and they're currently researching and getting as much information about both sides as they possibly can at the moment so that they're prepared when it comes into committee.
Is this like last year's crisis where it reflects a genuine issue within Minnesota that we should be concerned about?
I think that it is definitely something to be concerned about because it concerns environment, and environment is a growing issue within our society nowadays. However, I'm not sure how big of an issue it is just yet since we haven't done as much research into it. I would probably have more information on that further on.
We're ready.
Hello, my name is Alex Berger. This is Joe with me here. And we're here to talk about a state of emergency currently in Minnesota. As I'm sure many of you have heard at this point, and the media is reporting about, Minnesota currently has a large agricultural issue where a current company that we have, and the active ingredient, one of their products, is wreaking havoc across a lot of our agricultural lands. So as we have a large issue, but also a very strong and robust both legislative branch and also a judicial and executive branch, we're here today to introduce a piece of legislation to address this crisis.
Okay, could you tell us about the piece of legislation?
Yes, absolutely. So without delving into too many specifics today, the product that we're dealing with is called Benefist, and Benefist is a herbicide that's currently being utilized in a number of fields across Minnesota. And what happens is this product actually, when it migrates across fields that are not dealt with accordingly due to the same procedure, it actually kills a lot of the products in those fields. So what you have is we have two adjoining properties, one that is utilizing the product and one that is not. When the product migrates across borders onto a second farm, it's killing off that farmer's goods. So what this bill does is it both incentivizes the implementation and utilization of a different product that does not use that active ingredient. And then it also mandates, if the courts of the Minnesota Youth and Government can find that the corporation in charge of this current active ingredient and product has wrongfully put it out there and ignored requests of action that would show that it's against current practice and is intended. If they can prove that, then that corporation will be required to pay in full compensation to the farmers that have had their products destroyed as a result of the migration of the product.
How do you think the agriculture companies would react to this?
Yeah, so this piece of legislation has really been crafted both with the best interests of the people, the corporations, and the government in mind. So it's really a symbiotic relationship here between both optimizing the turn towards different products. So by incentivizing that, we don't foresee any negative economic effects for these corporations because they'll actually have the ability to transfer over that market share that they're losing from this product to new, more innovative products. And in turn, the market share is not going to put their capital investment in any means. And secondly, by making this quick shift through this piece of legislation, we're ensuring that the agricultural land in Minnesota is being sustained for generations to come. And in turn, the people of Minnesota will have a direct benefit as their land will be aided moving forward into the future.
Have you begun work on this piece of legislation that you're speaking of?
Yeah, so it's definitely in the early stages right now, but the government, in terms of the executive branch and the legislative branch, with Joe here representing the executive branch, are working together in a close relationship. And it will be introduced tomorrow during committee and look to make its way into the floor of the Senate.
Is there anything else that's high on your priority list at this time?
Yes, so I talked about education and mental health, but environmental issues as well. We always talk about climate change, but here in Minnesota, we do have, farmland and coal mining, so stuff like that is something that we're looking at as well. When you talk about environmental issues and you talk about the farmland, are there any bills or things being moved over there in the Capitol that are of really high importance to you, or any specific ones that you could comment on? Yeah, so I can't officially comment on things that I have, that are still in session and are still being debated. But things dealing with the environment or dealing with carbon emissions and fossil fuels, things with transportation, similar things like that are being looked at.
So there's nothing else that's very pressing of issues right now that's number one on your agenda?
From the delegates' perspectives, what they're looking at and looking at my own initiatives, yeah, that is what we're looking at.
So, we know that there's going to be a crisis bill. Do you know or can you comment on what committee it will be in?
So yeah, with the situation engagement YIG activity that's being created, I can't really comment too much about it, but it is something that we are looking for solutions for. So we are looking for solutions and working with other senators.
So we can expect it to be in the agricultural committee?
I can't comment for sure which committee it will be in.
Do you enjoy your freedom? Give thanks to the men and women that fight for it every day. Saturday night in the craft room, there'll be a table set up where you can write thank you letters to the troops, and the Red Cross will send them out.
The program is run by the American Red Cross. Our letters will be sent to 2 places in Kuwait, Iraq, and this is a unique opportunity to thank our service men and women who have provided our ability to experience democracy and government at its finest and live by the YIG core values.
The Lieutenant Governor Brett Houck signed his first bill at the Hilton, and Governor Hayden Shute signed his first bill at the Capitol.
All right, well, thank you very much for coming. This is a really exciting time. This is our very first bill signing for the lower legislature for 2018 Youth in Government. So here, this is Elliot Yeager. He's the author of the bill. So the bill here is about having mandatory drug treatment programs in our prisons, which I am absolutely for. It fits in perfectly with my platform and my agenda. It helps Minnesotans, and it's really something that will not only save us money in the long run, but also really help individuals on a very human level. And with that, the bill is ready to be signed.
I'm very proud to sign Samantha's bill. So some of my initiatives working with my commissioners this session was exactly mental health reform and to add it into the educational system, the public school system. So when I heard of Samantha's bill, I immediately was like, we need to follow this, wish her the best of luck, do anything we can to get her here. And just hearing about her speaking skills and her ability during debate was just phenomenal to hear. I'm very proud to be here and have her here. So that being said, I think it's time we send this into law.
You may never even know about lobbyists. Meanwhile, they're doing hard work in the communities and houses.
My name is Sonia Tesdal, and I'm from the Elk River delegation. I am the assistant director for the lobbyist team. Being a lobbyist, it gets really overwhelming if you're trying to track 5 bills at the same time. So I'm there to help people cope with that if they need it.
So lobbyists are the people who give testimony mostly in committee. We can help you get your bills passed through this testimony or through flyers or word of mouth. Lobbyists represent a large range of different organizations, so each lobbyist has a different coalition. They go and they find these bills and they see what committees they're going into the first day of YIG, and they go to these committees and they start to testify for the bills. So if you want to contact a lobbyist, we're in Director's Room 4 and it's a completely free service. That's
Tucked way in the back of the Judicial Center is the Court of Appeals. Today we visited with them to check in on how they're doing.
This is my second year in YIG, and it's my second year in appellate court. All of our cases start in the district or trial courts, and what happens is someone didn't like the verdict. So they appeal the case and it comes to us. And what the appellate court is the facts are set in stone. So everything that happened is unarguable. So what we're focusing on case law, precedents, and statutes.
I like the structure of it because last year I was in trial court, and I think the structure of this is cool, how it's kind of like giving a speech. Our case is about this guy who tweeted something, kind of accused this other guy of drug activities. The Thompson, who was being accused of drug activities, was like, "This is defamation." And I'm gonna.
We'll be back right after this short commercial break.
This is David Shearer, your everyday apple pie American who just wants to change the world for the better. He is known for seeing new perspectives and seeing the big picture, and he loves meeting new people and sharing ideas. He is intelligent and knows about the election system and parliamentary procedure. He has baskets of experience, whether it is as a floor leader or running in the Senate. He is the obvious choice when it comes to who is a leader and has experience in running in office. So this Saturday, remember to vote for David Shearer for Secretary of State.
I am David Shearer, and I approve this message.
Many important bills were debated today. Do you enjoy?
Why did you decide to write this bill?
Because studies and facts have shown, Minnesota Department of Corrections have done, show that drug treatment and chemical treatment centers for prisoners reduces the rate of recidivism, and the Minnesota Department of Corrections and Minnesota prisons is lacking on providing necessary things such as chemical dependency treatment to prisoners.
And who will exactly treat them?
It is up to the prisons to figure that out, and within the Minnesota Department of Corrections.
What is the rate that it will actually help the prisoners?
Based on a study conducted by the Minnesota Department of Corrections, it will reduce the rate of recidivism around 17 to 25%, saving in a 4-year period around $40 million.
Do you agree with this bill?
I agree with this bill because as soon as prisoners just go in jail from drugs addiction, it would just take the treatment, and as soon as they get to the outside world, it will lessen the chance for them to get caught again with all those illegal drugs.
Why did you decide to write this bill?
The purpose of my bill is to ensure the safety of the driver's license holder as well as the general public.
Why did you choose the age 65?
I chose this age because for medical reasons at 65, their eyesight changes and the ability to drive changes as well.
How many days after they turn 65 do they have to take the test?
60 days. Why do you guys disagree with the author?
I disagree with this author because not all 65-year-olds have medical problems that affect how they drive.
I also think because it just depends on the person, not the age.
Why do you agree with the author?
I feel that the people in Minnesota should be able to know who is driving, and we should be able to know that our seniors are safe while driving.
Why do you think a 65 is a good age?
I think 65 is a good age because that's when most seniors start to lose their sight. Forgot an outfit for casual night? Stop by the YIG swag store.
So, what sells the most at the YIG store?
So, at the YIG store, the item that sells, that's selling really hot this year, we have a few. The water bottles are pretty hot, keep you nice and hydrated. Pop sockets are a big seller, and the little gavels. And the new Comfort Color t-shirts are great and long sleeve and really nice.
Where does the money go from the YIG store?
Yeah, the money from the YIG store, most of the money goes toward purchasing the actual items. So a lot of it, if there is a little bit more, it goes back to the YIG program, but most of it goes toward purchasing the item.
Why did you guys decide to do this? Are you volunteers or do you work for the Y?
Sure, so most of us who are working back in the state office and the other adult advisors are volunteers, and so we take time from our work and from our families and homes and come and volunteer for the weekend with you guys.
So what's your favorite merchandise from the YIG store?
I like the water bottles. They're really nice open cap Nalgene water bottles, and I really like the phone backs, which can help you hold your phone.
Do you plan on buying anything from the YIG store this year?
I plan on buying the phone back to help you hold your phone, and a Nalgene water bottle from